Coming up, a super soapy, super smutty retro romp in the British countryside.
The Big Book of Bread.
Plus our distraction of the week. I'm Mel.
I'm Dave. This is the Library of Lost Time. Hello! We wrapped up the 6th season of Strong Sense of Place last week. Congratulations to everybody involved. We made it. We also started a survey to find out how we can improve. We're always looking for ways to jump up the show, and we'd love to hear from you. If you have thoughts about what would be better for you or how we could get the word out about the show, or even if you just want to stop by and say hello, it is all welcome.
There's also a hint to a top secret project we've been working on, hidden in one of the questions.
That's true. It is
hidden in plain sight in one of the questions.
It is a poorly disguised hint at what we might be doing. You can find that survey at strongsenseofplace.com/survey or by clicking the link in the podcast description. Mel and I read every word you write. So if you have a minute, please drop by and say hello at strongsenseofplace.com/survey. What's your book this week?
As I've said many times before, maybe too many times, I am a David Tennant superfan.
Have you announced that to the people who listen to our show?
I have, several times. We talked about him in Macbeth.
Yep.
Good Omens.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps Staged.
Okay. But I feel like we need to put all the dots in a row for everybody.
I was really excited to learn that he is in the Disney Plus series Rivals, and he plays a villain.
1986. You can have whatever you want.
Come to the Cotswolds.
The show is set in the Cotswolds in the 1980s, and it uses the cutthroat world of TV production as a background for a handful of characters to flirt, fight, attend posh parties, and fall into each other's beds.
Yes.
Everything about it is wildly inappropriate and over the top.
Yeah.
Subtlety has no place here. For example, David Tennant's naughty character is named Lord Anthony Baddingham.
Tony Baddingham. If you don't start spending some of that fortune making decent television, you're going to lose your business.
Rupert Campbell Black, champion show jumper.
It's just right there in his name. And the county where all of the rich people live is called Rutshire.
That feels thinly disguised.
I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
The show is based on a 1988 novel by Dame Jilly Cooper. And before watching it, I was not familiar with her, but she's like the British Danielle Steele. Jilly Cooper has written 44 books that have sold more than 11 million copies in the UK alone.
Wow. That's a very high copy to population ratio there.
Right?
Yeah.
The Rutshire Chronicles is an 11-book series, and it is her most famous.
You are so delighted every time you say Rutshire.
It's so silly. Okay, so after watching the series, I thought, sure, why not? I'll try the book.
Yeah.
And then I learned that Georgia Tennant, David Tennant's delightful wife, narrated a new version of the audiobook. The story is when DT was offered a part in Rivals, Georgia was like, I don't care. You're doing it. Don't even bother reading the script. You're doing it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because she is a huge fan of the book. She read them when she was a teenager.
Yeah.
Which means they hit her at exactly the right moment.
Yeah. Nothing like smutty literature at 16.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the book opens with a flight on Concorde from London to New York City. What could be more 80s than that? There's nonstop champagne. Every woman is described as beautiful. Every man is super virile.
Mm-hmm.
And every conversation is rife with sexual innuendo and ultra-polite insults.
Okay.
And that opening on Concorde sets the tone for the entirety of the 700 pages of this book.
Wow.
There's verbal sparring, love affairs, backstabbing, scheming. It is glorious. There are country houses and nice cars and Versace shirts and tacky fashion, big hair.
Everything you could want.
Exactly.
All right.
But I'm recommending the audiobook in particular. Here's why. Georgia Tennant's reading voice is very alluring. Her British accent is nice and warm and buttery. And there's some American characters, and she gets the kind of flat American accent perfect.
Sitting in the Concorde departure lounge at Heathrow on a perfect blue June morning, Anthony, 2nd Baron Baddingham, Chairman and Managing Director of Corinium Television, should have been perfectly happy.
The audiobook is almost 25 hours long, which I know for some people might not be a selling point. It is for me. It means you get to go on a walk every day and hang out with these people for like a month. This point might also be divisive. The language is pretty raunchy.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
Cursing is the only vice I have left. I love a good expletive.
Yeah.
But if that's not your jam, you might not enjoy this book.
Maybe not your thing.
And kind of related, it's pretty smutty.
I feel like we've covered that.
But it's smutty in kind of a hilarious way.
Okay.
There's something about the 80s sexual hijinks that feel very innocent in a way that stuff doesn't now.
Right.
It's all very playful, even though people are committing adultery and shagging all over the place.
Yeah.
If you're looking for pure entertainment with no redeeming moral qualities, this is not going to change your life, but it may make your life better. This book is a very good time. But definitely get the audio for the maximum experience. It's Rivals by Jilly Cooper, read by Georgia Tennant.
Okay, now for a strong turn. When we lived in Vermont, we were just down the road from the King Arthur Baking Company. That organization is primarily known for its baking flour, which is available all over the world. But they are also bakers, and they were wonderful neighbors.
They really were. Very welcoming.
Yep, and they kept the whole valley supplied with breads and muffins and baked goods. They've got a charming building in Norwich that has a restaurant, a store, and a baking school. There are some picnic tables there. You can get a bag of hot rolls and a coffee and sit down and just enjoy Vermont.
They also make a mean curry chicken salad.
They do.
And really nice soup.
Yeah. In general, 13 out of 10 would recommend.
Mm-hmm.
That company is also 100% employee owned. So everyone gets a say in what corporate does because they're all a part of it. King Arthur is demonstrating that collaboration and making money are not mutually exclusive. Good on them.
I also feel like maybe the fact that they're owned by their employees contributes to how good their products are because they are experts invested in making the best thing and making money, not just elevating the importance of the dollar above the quality of their product.
Or sit in this room and do the thing I told you to do.
Right.
Yeah. I bring all of this up because they recently released a book. It's called The King Arthur Baking Company Big Book of Bread, 125 plus recipes for every baker. And it's lovely. So first, it clearly describes all of the issues around making a nice loaf of bread. They start with the basics, mixing and kneading and folding, all of that. You can scan QR codes to see videos of the different techniques.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then they get into the world of baked goods. They've got flatbreads and loaf breads and hearth breads and buns and bagels and what they call fancy breads. They'll show you how to braid a challah a couple of ways. They get into the weeds with sourdough. They've got a recipe for toast bread.
My favorite.
Yeah, we need to talk about toast bread. I had never heard of toast bread until we moved to Europe. It's what it sounds like. It's a bread explicitly made to be toasted. And if you're like me, you're thinking, how much difference could there possibly be?
Mm-hmm.
Friends, if you enjoy toast, you need to try some toast bread. It makes the perfect toast. There's crunch on the outside. There's still some chewy on the inside. It's a life changer. The sky is bluer after you've eaten toast bread. But back to the book. This book even has some bread-adjacent recipes like bread pudding and French toast. They've got a recipe for something they call extremely cheesy grilled cheese.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah. This might be a good time to mention that they've got photos with every recipe, so you know what you're getting into. The photo for the extremely cheesy grilled cheese is someone doing a perfect pull on a grilled cheese sandwich. They're just tearing it in half. Every recipe also comes with a graphic for prep time. So you can see, for instance, that these Dutch crunch rolls take 3 hours, but there's only about 40 minutes worth of work in that time.
Mm-hmm.
The book would make an excellent gift. Do you know what else would make an excellent gift?
Toast bread?
Yes, a nice freshly baked loaf of bread. You walk in with a fresh batch of rolls or a baguette or a loaf of lemon swirl, and you are making friends.
Bonus points if you bring Kerrygold butter at room temperature.
Accurate. That's all like bringing treats to the dog park. The book is The King Arthur Baking Company Big Book of Bread, 125 plus recipes for every baker, and it is available now.
And now it's our distraction of the week. Searching for the answer.
This didn't happen on purpose, but my distraction of the week is kind of tangentially related to your book.
Yeah, we almost went for a theme show.
I would like everyone to join me on a sandwich journey.
I'm happy to go on anything called the sandwich journey.
This is the story of how a 7-year-old article in The Guardian introduced me to perhaps the best awards competition on the planet, the Sammys.
I assume these are like the Grammys, but for sandwiches.
You would assume correctly.
Nice.
But first, The Guardian.
Okay.
The Guardian is an independent British daily newspaper. It's owned by something called the Guardian Media Group, which is not a billionaire.
Yeah.
The Guardian Media Group has one shareholder. It is the Scott Trust. Not a billionaire, a trust.
Okay.
The trust is named for the paper's longest-serving editor, and it exists solely to ensure that The Guardian has financial and editorial independence in perpetuity. More than half of the newspaper's revenue comes directly from its readers, including me. I support The Guardian because they support independent journalism. I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but I love The Guardian. One of the features I love about The Guardian is its long reads. They invest in in-depth reporting, essays, profiles, in-depth investigations, and they cover a wide range of topics, from the very serious, like the new nuclear arms race. Yikes, something new to be scared about.
Yeah.
They also sometimes have fun, like a recent profile on a roller coaster designer. To celebrate 10 years of long reads, they invited journalists to record their old articles as podcasts with new intros. And the result is fantastic audio. And that's how I found myself listening to a 7,000-word report from 2017 on how the sandwich consumed Britain. Who knew that an article on the rise of packaged sandwiches could be a thriller?
Was it intentionally a thriller, or did you just find it thrilling?
I mean, it's pretty obvious that the author, Sam Knight, was having a blast when he was writing this piece. He is a staff writer for The New Yorker, based in London.
Mm-hmm.
And his story has colorful characters, and it's sprinkled liberally with fun facts. And he writes just delightful paragraphs. Here's an example.
All right.
If you've been eating a packaged sandwich while reading this, you will have probably finished it by now. One industry estimate says that on average, they take 3.5 minutes to consume. But no one really knows because no one pays attention. One of the great strengths of the sandwich over the centuries has been how naturally it grafts onto our lives, enabling us to walk, read, take the bus, work, dream, and scan our devices at the same time as feeding ourselves with the aid of a few small rotational gestures of wrist and fingers, the pinch at the corner, the sweep of the crumbs.
He was working on that.
He was.
Yeah.
The whole article is delight from top to bottom.
Yeah.
The day I read it and listened to it, I shared it with my best friends, and I enjoyed it again while getting ready for the show. In addition to A, entertaining me with the history of British takeaway sandwiches,
Yeah.
and B, making me really hungry for a pret-a-manger sandwich.
Sure.
This piece introduced me to the Sandwich and Food to Go Industry Awards.
The Sammys.
The Sammys.
Nice.
The Sammys are a combination of the Oscars and the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show, but for portable food.
That suggests that either the entrants get dressed up in really fancy clothes, or they run around doing agility tricks during their sandwich presentation.
The fancy clothes part is closer to the truth.
Okay.
The formal Sammys honor businesses in categories like the New Food to Go Award, Healthy Eating Award, New Ingredient Award, and Environmental and Sustainability Award. It's kind of like the technical Oscars.
Yeah.
But more relevant to our interests is the competition that names the Sandwich Designer of the Year.
The big glamour prize.
Masterminds behind new sandwich combos compete in 6 categories that use the sponsor's ingredient as the key element. A winner is chosen in each category. This is where the Kennel Club Dog Show comes in.
Okay.
A winner is chosen in each category, and then there's a sort of best in show to pick the overall winner, and they get the title Sandwich and Food to Go Designer of the Year, along with a 2,000-pound cash prize.
I feel like the "and food to go" really mucks up that phrase.
And I'm pretty sure that they added the food to go part this year because one of the sponsors makes a special kind of heating unit that will hold sandwiches or other kinds of food to go. And that's one of the competitive categories this year.
Right. Also, it gets you around the tricky philosophical issues about whether or not a hot dog is a sandwich or a taco is a sandwich.
Exactly, because it's food to go.
Yeah.
These are all important distinctions to be made.
Obviously.
Last year, 2023, the overall winner, the best in show, was a sandwich called the Smoky Roll. It was created by chef Katarina Broadrib. She's originally from Bratislava, Slovakia, but now she runs the Lemon and Soul Cooking School in Southampton. Her award-winning sandwich is a combination of smoked beef brisket, sautéed mushrooms, Gouda cheese, spicy horseradish, and herb mayo on a toasted roll.
That sounds like that would hit you in the mouth pretty hard.
I watched a video of a guy eating it and his eyes were rolling back in his head like a shark. There's also a recipe online, which I will put in show notes in case you want to make one at home.
Okay.
In sort of keeping it all in the family news,
Yeah.
her husband, Simon, also won in one of the individual categories.
Really?
The feta cheese category for his sandwich called a Mountain of Feta and Merguez Wrap, which featured feta cheese and spicy lamb sausage rolled into flatbread and pan-fried until it's crispy. How do we get an invitation to their house for dinner?
Definitely worth asking.
This year's featured ingredients, in addition to the oven, which I already mentioned, include chicken, gammon ham, a particular brand of bread, raclette cheese, Gruyere cheese, and Greek labneh yogurt spread.
These are categories.
These are categories. So you have to make a sandwich that includes one of those things.
Okay.
Budding sandwich enthusiasts, take note. This year's competition is on right now.
Oh.
Written sandwich recipes and photos are to be submitted in January. And then there are cooking heats in March. There's 3 of them. The live final is in May at the Royal Lancaster London Hotel, just before the Black Tie Sammys Awards dinner.
I want to live in the kind of world where there is more coverage of that than there is of the Oscars.
Strong agree.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this show on the day it's released, November 15th, 2024, today is the deadline to register.
Oh, well.
You just have to cough up your name. You don't have to know what your sandwich is.
And we will put a link in the show notes.
We absolutely will. Visit strongsenseofplace.com/library for more on the books we talked about today and everything you need to know about the Sandwich Designer of the Year Awards. Please, please do yourself the favor of listening to the Guardian Long Reads article about sandwiches.
Thanks for joining us in the Library of Lost Time. Remember to visit your local library and your independent bookstore to lose some time yourself.
Stay curious and, I guess, hungry. We'll talk to you soon.